So I had a couple of thoughts on this. So I've taken the back of the TV off again. If you need to know how to do that, you can see the first part of this video. And I don't know, I've been having a couple of thoughts. So we've got the Raspberry Pi here. I was possibly eyeing up, see if we could put something, you're putting it in where the PCMCIA slot was. I don't know anybody who actually uses those. So that might be an idea. You might be able to go in there. I've also got, wherever I've just put it, right here, a micro USB extender for the card, because I want the majority of these ports and everything to be accessible. Don't have to take the TV apart just to swap over the SD card if it if it gets corrupted and I need to put a new image on there. And what else have I got? Oh yes, right here, right in camera. So I've got a right angled HDMI connector. The idea with this was this has only got two HDMI ports on it. So I wanted the ability to have this cable coming from the inside of the case and semi-permanently always be going to be plugged into a port there. But if I ever did need an extra one, I could just actually unplug this and swing it to one side. So it just gives me that option. Now, I've noticed that with that plugged in, the cable fouls on the shielding, so I'm going to have to do something with that anyway. So I think basically we're going to have to just take the shielding off and see what we've got underneath. Right, we've got quite a bit of room on there. I'm actually quite tempted to run this with the shielding off. May or may not be a good idea. Because you're either going to get emissions from that affecting the circuitry on here, or that is just for, keep everybody happy and stop any emissions radiating from this board. Depends which way around it is. I don't know. It's all a bit of an adventure, to be honest with you. Who can say? So I'm just looking at this slot here. I think I may have an issue straight off with a couple of these large electrolytic capacitors. Let's move that on the floor. Yeah, I think that's going to be a bit of a problem. Yeah, the board pops out nice and easily. think we should be. I've got that up there. Right, I'm just going to have to be careful, I think. Don't particularly want to break that, that looks quite delicate. How easy that is to pop off. I've seen that type of connector beforehand. Oh, I see. Oh, alright. You actually pinch them together. Ah, that's actually pretty easy. Brilliant. My initial idea is to remove the holder for the PCM-CIA card there. As far as I can tell, there's no actual electronics on it. It's just, yeah, it's a passive component. Yeah, it's just like a riser board. So I think I'm just going to quickly take that out. I've got a screwdriver that fits. Which I haven't. Yay. 1 second. And he's back with something that fits. So all of this might be just a complete and utter waste of time. But you never know. We're learning together on this. Yeah, that just pops out there nicely. Yeah, the holes almost line up as well. But those capacitors are definitely going to be in the way, which is annoying. I'm actually wondering about being completely lazy now. No, actually no. No, that's awful. Stop being lazy, Chris. Stop being lazy. Where do I bin this all together and just put this completely somewhere different? Actually, yeah, just swing the camera around. We've got the side inputs here. That's quite tempting. Just going to give it a slight reposition. So I was thinking, actually locating that there where it's snug. Got the S-video connector, which I don't think anybody uses these days. But that's really, really close to that audio socket right there. In fact, it's going to foul on that as well. Ooh. Right, gonna have to have a think. Just been having a bit of a play with this. Remove these risers that are off the board. They were holding the PCM-CIA slot in place. And I think it might just have enough room. If this was to be mounted this way up, I think the shielding's got to go. I think. In fact, I haven't actually tried that. I'll tell you what I have tried. So I'm just going to leave that just on there for a moment. I haven't actually just brought this forward enough, have I? Come on, you can come forward. No, it's going to be a pain in the ass, isn't it? You git. Yeah, it's just going to be a pain in the ass. Anyway, the general gist is that I think there's enough room in there. Now the question is, do I fix that here, or do I fix it to the actual lid, to the back? Sorry, back cover. I'm quite tempted to fix it to the back cover. And now I'm very tempted to fix it to the back cover. That means I can get everything lined up properly on this. Shielding will be out of the way, which means this can go in fine. Oh yes, I'm smelling a plan. And the plan is to attach it to the inside cover. I'm just going to widen this area here so you can see all the USB sockets and, importantly, the Ethernet socket as well, because this will be delivering media from a server, so yeah, it will need the Ethernet cable there. Right, time to mark things. And the question is, left or right? Does it make any difference to the circuit board below? I don't think it does. I'm kind of fancying just there. Just going to make a small mark. And then I think it's time to start filing. Which would be as boring as hell for you. So I might as well cut this until I've finished it, to be honest. Who the hell wants to see anybody filing anything? After a bit of filing, I'd say that fits in nicely. So I think it's time to start fixing everything down now. Been filing away for a bit of time now. I've also done a hole here for the right angled HDMI cable. To be honest with you, I don't think once this is plugged in I'm going to be able to physically remove it for day-to-day use. There's just not enough wiggle room in there, but if you can see that a little bit closer, it does finish it off quite nicely. Now, also got the Raspberry Pi here, and I've just had this, well, I won't call it a revelation, but obviously, you know, we've only got ports on this end here with the Raspberry Pi 2. The micro SD slot is on the opposite end, and I need to be able to get to that. And what I've just figured out is that goes quite beautifully in between the USB and the Ethernet port. And if you offer it up to here, it also is just wide enough. The card will be just wide enough to creep in between the, this part of the case and that part of the case. And as far as I can tell, I've tried putting the card in, and it does protrude out a little bit, so it comes in and out. But it doesn't come up high enough to actually. I don't think it's going to foul on anything I plug into the USB, because you've always got a bit of room around there. So I think I'm going to go down that route. This is all going together quite well. I'm very surprised. Nothing's on fire at all yet. Mind you, give it time, you never know. Just going to clean this area off. Because I'm going to use good old hot snot. But I'm going to use black hot snot. So, because I don't really like the look of the other stuff, it just looks horrible, and I've just been using the black stuff for quite a while now, and it looks really, well, yeah, it's not brilliant, but it looks really good compared to the other stuff, especially as the other stuff it starts off clear and it starts to yellow after a while. So I just want to clear off any crap from there. I've completely lost where I've put the Raspberry Pi now. Oh, there it is. It's hiding. So the Pi will go flat on there. And I'm probably just going to go around the edge with the hot snot, because I don't want it to touch anything else port wise. Just need to make sure I've got enough room with the HDMI connector. In fact, it might be an idea to do this with the HDMI connector in. Oh no, that'll be fine. In fact, that'll be absolutely perfect. Question is how's the glue gun warmed up? See, everyone else uses the normal coloured ones, and I just really like these black ones. So I've got two of these guns. One I just use for black, and the other one I just use for, you know, the normal see-through ones. But yeah, I find this actually really good. So I've got that position now. That's it's nearly up to temperature. What I'll do additionally as well is I've obviously taken the shielding off the back of the logic board on the TV. So I'm going to have to stick something roughly around the area just to protect it, so if this ever does break loose, it doesn't short out on anything on the logic board, because that would be bad. So that's nicely down. Actually, it would have been a good idea if I'd actually done the extender first, wouldn't it? Well, that's what happens if you don't think ahead. Congratulations, Chris. Good work. Anyway, whilst that's cooling off, see the difference. Get my hand out of the way of the camera would be really useful. That it still looks like crap with the camera, but see the difference the black hot snot makes. I don't know, I just really like it. It's personal preference at the end of the day. That's really awkward. Why did I forget to put this in first? Because I was in such a hurry. As usual. I'm making mistakes. You're learning from them. Don't do what I do. And that's the lesson of the day. Okay. So I can pretty much fill in the top of... Yeah, I have to be careful there, aren't I? So I'm going to get it in the mechanism. This will be interesting. Oh well. This is going to be messy, I do apologise. I think that is stuck quite nicely in place. That looks great. And that, bloody hell, that Raspberry Pi is really on there well. I always like to go completely, almost, as much as you can around the edge or something, instead of just like dolloping it, because it just, you get mechanical twists and everything else on the surface you're doing it on, it'll just pop straight off. Just doing a continuous seal all the way around. Adds some serious strength to it. The only Achilles heel to this is the melting point of the glue. So if you've got this, I've had it beforehand where I've glued something together and something black and it's been in the sun. So if the back of the TV is exposed to sunlight in the day, the glue can go soft on you and it can start to gently droop off. So you've got to be a bit conscious of the extremes, the environments that it's going to be exposed to. That's on there really well, and that's quite extreme when I'm on about there. This is kind of like midsummer temperatures, and just being persistently in the sun all the time, it will eventually come off. I've had that with hot tub, custom-made hot tub controller, where the one side of it was exposed to the sun. And the LCD screen on the front started to gently droop off from the inside. Didn't look particularly good, but lesson learned. Excellent. Right, so that's nicely dried in place. Now just waited a couple of minutes. So, yeah. Ugh. So, oh, I've gone all ashes. Yeah, the more astute of you would have noticed that I made a bit of a mistake there. And yeah, see if you can guess what the mistake was. Chocolate digestives. No, that wasn't the mistake. No, I went and hot glued all the way around the edge, including over the original micro SD socket slot. It's one of those moments where you need a cup of coffee and a McVitie's biscuit because they're awesome. And take 5 minutes to calm down. Feck, that coffee's hot. So, a little bit of precision cutting later with the trusty mini Leatherman. It wasn't actually as bad as I thought. I thought the hot glue would have gone right down inside the socket, but it hasn't. It's just gone like a perfect bead around the edge. So I was just able to make a couple of cuts in that direction, back into the back cover, and a slice there, and just kind of dig it out. And it's actually left pretty much a perfect slot, to be fair. Anyway, what an idiotic move. Don't do that again, Chris. How I was going to power the Raspberry Pi, I was just going to use a simple phone charger, this one here. And I picked this one primarily because it has one of the removable sockets on it for obviously use in different countries. So that, profile-wise, isn't too bad. And it all obviously has the protection circuitry built into it. So I was going to solder on live and neutral onto there, and then just tag those lines straight onto the input for the TV, which should be quite simple. And obviously I'm going to use some heat shrink and push over there just to protect it all anyway. It's worth noting that if you're going to be doing this, just work out which one of these pins is live and which is neutral. It may well make a difference internally due to how the protection circuitry has been designed. So in theory you could run it the other way around, but there's anyway, I won't bore you to death with it. Just work out which is which and just stick with it just to be on the safe side. So I'm not entirely sure if you can see that what those metal prongs are actually made out of. I have a horrendous feeling that solder isn't going to be sticking to them, but I can only but try. So bear with me. Just to help the process, I'm going to put a bit of flux on here. So I'm going to try one pin first and just see how that goes. This could go terribly wrong. This video will then never end up on YouTube. Or I'll just put it up there anyway. That's a demonstration of how not to do something. Why not? It's going to take quite a bit to heat this pin up, I think. So solder's taken to that beautifully. Marvellous. Happy days. Okay, let's do the other side. I've had experiences beforehand where you're like, oh yeah, I can solder that to that, and then it just will not take. And then it just ends up in a big, horrid mess. And that's both of those tinned. I've already pre-tinned these two cables that I'm going to use for the main supply. This is just from a mains cord that I've pilfered from an old broken water pump. So I've marked on here live, probably can't see that. Maybe if I hold it just, I just wrote on the inside live, so I know which one's which. That's that one tacked on. I like the end of that one. That's better. And yes, some of you may have noticed I'm still using the backup iron, because the replacement part for my other one, it turned up and it was the wrong part, and I just pretty much gave up the will to live. So I'll just go and get a completely new soldering iron, I think. But in the meanwhile, this lump of crap, which I've actually had for a number of years, just keeps on soldering on. I'm just soldering on. God, I'm so not funny. So I just keep on using it. Alright, both of those are on there now. So it's time to get a bit of heat shrink. Fortunately, there's nothing on the end of these cables, so I can just slide it on from the other end. That's quite a tight fit. Right, they're both on there now. Wait for this to heat up. And that should increase the temperature, will be good. Just realised I can't see what I'm doing. There we go.